So that will record that.
Get some coffee for Doris. Dr. Cranston, did you sign in?
No, ma'am, I did not, but I shall. I didn't know that was. Oh, right. Probably about police department. Probably about the FBI. Probably about the FBI.
Okay, so Dr. Knight, it'll have these two things up there. Like it'll have that you're sharing your screen and then say talking down here, but that's okay. Because you'll still be able to go through it like that.
Everything's good?
Yeah. Oh, I have to stand here too. Hey, is the video on? The video is the video. It's on. Do you want to see yourself?
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily.
Okay. Hopefully I don't look too I just think to keep my
keep you on time.
Keep myself. As I go through my level 12, so I'm adjusting myself on time. Because I got 35 slides, 30 slides, and 60.
Well, you might hear me hopefully. This
I'm thinking about 2 minutes for but I want to make sure I can find it.
We're covering the ad, but I'm not fully recovered. I just came up with an idea that when's the next election or the
Oh, we are going to start after the idea.
And this is the mock-up of my question that I created. See what I said?
It does look pretty nice though.
That's very good.
So the idea is
We should run it for president.
Yeah, right.
2024 is needed. What does the D stand? Democracy, not democratic.
Democracy.
D for democracy. The challenge is, what I'm saying is that November 5th is the day people decide, also stand for decision. Is the day that people decide on democracy or dictatorship. Okay, so that's democracy and dictatorship. And when the state was covering the US, I was listening to a bunch of a couple of Democratic.
I like that. Girls.
Yeah, that's in our old space.
Great.
We're getting a new map.
Oh, okay. One thing I mean, can you do that?
I think we have a standard record of renting out a feed.
No, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, it's for free.
And that, I mean, that becomes more of an operational concern. If you don't have any programs going, there's, I mean, just the time and space of people can compare.
Okay.
That time.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
We're all here?
Okay.
All right, fabulous. Well, good morning, everyone. Bonsoir. Welcome to the Haitian American Museum of Chicago's program today, The Impact of Natural Resources as a Healing Force. This program is a part... Sorry? Yeah, everything's... Yep. Okay, I'm starting from the top. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Haitian American Museum of Chicago's program today, The Impact of Natural Resources as a Healing Force. This program is a part of our quarterly Scholars Series, and today, a very special Haitian holiday, a part of the museum's Battle of Vertier's celebration. My name is Carlos Bossard, and I'm the Director of Programs and Museum Practice here at the museum. It's great to see you all again. Thank you so much for joining us. The museum's mission is to promote and preserve Haitian art, culture, history, and community in Chicago and beyond. Education is at the core of our mission, and we are glad to continue bringing insightful, meaningful, and impactful lectures and programs to the community. Today marks the 220th anniversary of the Battle of Vertier, which was the last battle fought during the Haitian Revolution before Haiti gained its independence on January 1st, 1804. Led by Jean-Jacques Dessalines, this battle defeated Napoleon's army, securing Haiti's victory and abolishing slavery. Today is a symbolic day of resilience and courage, and a reminder of the inspiration Haiti extended beyond its borders, as a beacon of hope and a testament to the strength of unity in the face of adversity. I want to send a special shout out and thank you to a couple of our team members who are here today. We have our CEO and founder, Elsie Hernandez, who's joining us, as well as Fabrice, our treasurer of our board of directors, and Romeo as well, one of our volunteers here at the museum. There's some treats and coffee in the front, so please feel free to have some of those during the time. And again, I welcome you here to the museum. I want to introduce our speaker for today, Dr. S. Rameriz Knight. He got his PhD at Loyola University and now works there as a professor. His work primarily focuses on international relations and foreign policy, with the emphasis on the effect it has on smaller states like Haiti. Dr. Knight is also a photographer. He has supported HAMOC for many years and is a major collaborator to the museum. Everyone, please welcome Dr. Cranston Knight.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here today, particularly on this very special day. And so I think that this particular lecture will be impactful because we're looking at the healing process that takes place or should take place once there's been various types of trauma. And there's been lots of trauma when we talk about the African diaspora. Some man-made, some not so much. Either way, the healing process is the same. And what we really want to do is to address those elements in terms of natural healing, which is given to us all the time. And that finds itself in nature. Nature is a healing force that becomes extremely important because it allows us to repair ourselves both physically and psychologically. And it's done in perpetuity. And it's, in essence, every single day that you wake up is a moment in which you should celebrate. Every day that you can see a sunrise allows you to renew your day. Every day that you can recognize, and this is a key point, every time that you can recognize that there's flora and fauna around you that grows and gives you a sense of self, and you can look at it and say how beautiful it is, how fragile it is, actually the moment that you begin to heal both physically and psychologically many types of trauma that you may have endured throughout your life. We just went through a major phenomenon, the pandemic. And I think it was during that pandemic in which people suddenly realized that they had very little control over their lives, that there was something much larger than themselves. And it had long-term effects on individuals. In fact, it still does. And so we'll look at that particular situation because it's something else, all of a sudden it was there and we simply had to deal with it. Do I need to press play?
No, just wait.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're discussing the pandemic. Many people on their way to work, many people on their way to school, people at home. One thing was very clear before the pandemic. We lived very busy lives, moving from one place to the next until one day things changed and everything stopped. It was a real phenomenon for me to actually go down into the subway and no longer see ads. They were not running. Whether they were in the subway itself or whether that they were the L trains, which are higher up, all that stopped. Cars no longer were traveling down the street, and we had actually a quarantine. For many people, particularly in the United States, that type of phenomenon had never occurred. And it really took people back. Things stopped. One of my I won't say my mentor, but most certainly someone who I desperately admire was Rameriz. She was a photographer, African-American. She took extraordinarily intricate photos. Very few new people know about her, primarily because she was not a big name. It didn't mean that she did not take no photos. The two which you presently see are mine, and it took place during the pandemic. And what we've discussed is extremely important. When she says, you must be an activist. If you're a photographer, you are automatically designated to show the people the world. So she states, despite the variety of my explorations, throughout it all, it has been my contention that my responsibility as an artist is to work, to sing for my supper, to make art beautiful and powerful that adds and reveals, to beautify the mess of a messy world, to heal the sick and feed the helpless, to shout bravely from rooftops and storm barricade doors and voice the specifics of our historic moment. So we're discussing a very important situation, a historic moment. So on the left, you see the old tracks shot from below. There are no L's. What really impacted me was when I'm Catholic. When I went to 1 to 10 church service and suddenly I just went to the doors and said, the church is closed, closed until the state of Illinois stay-at-home order is lifted. So there was a stay-at-home order, as everyone remember, but I never thought of the church as a place that was actually closed. For me, that was always the sanctuary. That was always a place I could go, no matter how bad things were. I could go into the church. I could sit in the pew. I could sit there, get there at 8 o'clock. There was a mass, 8:30 mass, 5:30 mass. I could go there. I could sit. I could talk. I could just rest. And not for the first time in my life in terms of moments, that was no longer there. So my safety valve simply disappeared, and I had to deal with this ongoing pandemic the best way that I could. Also during this particular time, there was the George Floyd movement in which George Floyd, unfortunately, was killed by a policeman. And I found this tree in the middle of literally nowhere that said justice for George Floyd. And although it may not seem significant at this point, for me, when in the middle of nowhere, literally, I was actually in the forest. To find this in the middle of a forest that said justice for George Floyd, I was really, really taken by it. So I made sure that I took a photo of it. If many of you can remember, as it recedes, there was a time you could not go into hospitals, and all the nurses and doctors were wearing PPEs. Everyone had their masks on, their gowns. Nobody wanted to touch anybody else. People were really frightened. The photo on the right, the insensitivity of people. The woman on the right is someone who was homeless, but she had fallen. And the woman right next to her doesn't even acknowledge her as a human being. So our inability to recognize other individuals as a person alienates that particular individual and further marginalize individuals who are already marginalized within the country itself, and that is homelessness. So we're looking at 3 different events, although they all hurt. The death of George Floyd, the pandemic, and the individual on the right who has fallen. Whether or not she's hurt herself or not is not explained, but you can see her disheveledness. She lays down as she's lying down, and most certainly the individual who's walking past her and not acknowledging her at all. During this time, there were still lots of police shootings. There was also shootings within certain communities. And it simply says, when we cry, and we cried, when we hurt, we cried. And as it says, don't you, I want to grow up. So a warning cry that went out throughout the nation as more and more young Black children, as well as adolescents and adults, were losing their lives as a result of simply being Black, as the statement would state. If you made a certain movement, if you were stopped by the police, you made a certain movement, that person already had their gun out. And in many instances, individuals lost their lives. In other instances, for whatever reason, a psychologist, for whatever reason, there were certain individuals who would just fire randomly into a crowd, and those bullets not only took the lives of young children, but adolescents, adults, the elderly, and people came out into the street to make it known that they wanted to live long enough to grow up. Therefore, we cry. That cry is not only a one of deep hurt, it's a cry for the innocence that has been taken. So it is a part of the what if. What if this individual had lived long enough to become a teenager? If this individual had lived long enough to go to high school, the potential of what this individual may have become becomes the quintessential question, the what if. Therefore, when we cry, we hurt. For many people in many neighborhoods, across the country, the quintessential question for them is there tomorrow? If you go out of your home with understanding that you live in certain communities, that are marginalized, they don't have the necessary tools to deal with certain individuals in those communities who may have mental health issues, they may have other types of issues, but what they do carry is a weapon. And they will discharge that weapon. Many times people or individuals who are driving, we have drive-by shootings, as well as individuals who drive next to cars and discharge their guns. And so for people in marginalized communities, the question is there tomorrow? Yes, there's a pandemic. Yes, there's been other issues. There's family issues. There's many other issues. But for them, living became not just an existential question, but a real reality. Is there a tomorrow? Will I grow up? Will I see a day's end? Just because I wake up in the morning doesn't necessarily mean I will see an afternoon. And if I saw the afternoon, did not necessarily mean that there will see an evening. So is there tomorrow? And something that we will address a little further along in the lecture. An important, this is a shot that I took early in the morning, just as the sun was coming up. Healing begins the first day we see sunlight. And very often, individuals will not recognize the fact that we're giving a healing the very moment we open our eyes. And once again, this may seem existential, but to be able to open your eyes in the morning is a gift. And one thing is how many people did not and would not wake up that particular morning, that you woke up that particular morning and you were able to see that your eyes actually open, that you're able to focus is a gift. And if you can wake up in the morning and you can see sunlight, that is most certainly beautiful. So I want to show the beauty of the sun rising. And this is in Chicago, so this is not someplace that, for those who live in Chicago, not someplace that's in another part of the planet. This is Chicago. And this is right at Waterloo Beach. It's at 35th Street Beach, right in a community that is considered to be low income, all the different designations that people use, sociologists, anthropologists, ethnologists, use to find certain communities that do not have the necessary means to, they have food deserts, pharmacy deserts, and yet what you do have is a beautiful sunrise. To focus your energy on the raising of the sun, the rising of the sun, is a true movement towards healing. So as the sun is coming up, you can see the sun rays spreading out across the top of the rays. And that's in the horizon. But you also see the rays coming across the waves as they come to shore. Outside our door is life. And we forget that if we're stuck in our home for any number of reasons, one can lose continuity with life. Yes, our house, our homes are a sanctuary, but we walk outside the door. Question is, once you walk outside the door, what do you see? This is not too far from, in fact, this is in Garfield Park. So it's in the Austin community, one of the most heavily crime-ridden communities in Chicago. And yet the sun still rises. And here you see the sunrise that I shot through one of the weeping willow trees, which is in the Garfield Park. It's right in the park itself. I positioned my camera such that I would get just that little sparkle of light. I wanted to make sure that the tree was full in the background and get that sparkle of light. If you could see that again, much like this slide before, gives one a sense of continuity and the beginning of a new day. How you're going to play out that day, that's something that's very subjective. But you are giving a grounded position, and that position says, it is a new day, and do you see me? Do you see the beauty as I rise, either from the lake or as I rise, and you can see me through the limbs of the tree? This is also in Chicago, also shot at sunrise. So I say, go no further than a few blocks to find the other side of yin and yang. As we know, yin and yang is the opposite, polar opposites, good and bad, light and day. That's yin and yang. The sun was just beginning to come up. And as it's peaking, not fully, but just beginning to peak above the line of the horizon, I took this particular photo. It's called a long exposure, so that I could get that yellow line which goes across, it bifurcates the sky between that and the water and the rocks on the left-hand side, but you can see the waves coming in. The beauty of being able to focus on the waves which are coming in, and they're gently coming in, they're not crashing, to see how you have waves which are a little further out, they're coming in, they will also crest before they crash upon the beach. What stays very constant, one is that you're going to continue to have waves, and the other is that you have the sunlight, and because of the way that the sun is positioned as it's coming up early in the morning, you get this sort of feathery sky. And the beauty of the three compositions allows us to see earth, wind, and without question, if I can use the word fire, because when I think of the sun very often, I'll think of it in terms of fire. You see the elements of life. The Bridge of Peace from here to there. This is shot in Washington Park. Washington Park, which is on the south side of Chicago, 6th Street. Also a community that's considered to be underserved, quote unquote. This particular bridge is part of the Japanese Gardens. And Japanese Gardens is absolutely beautiful. It's right behind the Museum of Science and Industry. The garden was created in 1905 by a delegation of Japanese artists who came to Chicago. And that garden has been there from the time of its creation until now. The project did a great job in terms of keeping it clean and keeping it up. But we start on one end, and in terms of our life, we cross to the middle, which is what the middle section of the bar is, that's holding, that's part of the bridge, and then to the other side. So it's a beginning, a middle, and an end. Our lives start at the beginning, there's a midpoint, there's an end. So the bridge itself represents those three phases of our lives. I particularly like this, and once again, this is a very early morning shot. The sun is on the left-hand side, which is why you have the very clear light on the water. And because it's coming up, it has not all the way come up. You do see the dark part on the right-hand side. And also you see the clouds. I use a number 4 filter so that the clouds would sparkle or sort of come out, being more solidified. Once again, you see this element of how pristine the water is. You see this element of how clear the clouds are and the formation of the clouds. You see in between the sky itself. And so once again, it's broken up into three elements. And those elements are our lives, just as the bridge was that shows our beginning, our middle, our end. You have these three sections that carry the bridge itself. Once again, an early morning shot. This particular time, the water was coming in. It was a very, very windy day. And it's more two-dimensional in the sense that you have the sky, you can see the colors of the sky, but you also see the roaring of the waves that are coming in. And for me, this was very essential because when I go back and look at the issue, which I just discussed and talk about George Floyd, we talked about the pandemic, we talked about the alienation of the particular woman who had fallen. We have good times, we have bad times, we have rough times. And the water, the waves come in, do not necessarily mean rough times, but it does show the power of things which we do not have control over. Those waves were extremely high. In fact, I think they were about 5 or 6 feet when they came in and crashed on the shores and also the rocks. So there are some things which we have no control over, and yet we have to deal with those issues nevertheless. And I want to capture that in this particular photo. This is another shot of those waves. You do see on the right-hand side, the sun is coming up. There, without question, the waves are high, they're coming in. But what you do see at the lower left-hand side is that although you have very large waves, like cat paws towards the left-hand side, they get smaller and they get smaller to the point that when you look at the left-hand side, you see a series of what looks like ridges. The water literally stops itself and it crawls into shore. So what may look a little further on in the right-hand side as something that's going to be, wow, this is going to crash. It sort of slows itself down and it comes in as cat paws. So although our lives may be in turmoil, at some point, we can begin to focus on the elements of life, and that hardship will come in as gentle as these harsh waves, the high waves, will come in as cat paws. Those issues can come in as cat paws, just as life does in terms of its elements. The road not taken is the path to new beginnings. And I shot this particular photo, which was in Montrose Beach. And I found it quite interesting because I had never seen this before. I thought perhaps a bulldozer had gone down the middle of this particular area where there's sand dunes, and in fact, it's actually the wind. So the path which you see is created by actually a formation of the wind blowing the sand and actually moving to left and right. It creates a path for us. And that path created is the path that we will take that will bring us to new life. Once again, not man-made. This was done completely by the movement of the wind, pushing the sand left and right, creating a path straight to the beach. From water we came, 98% of our body, at least 95% of our body is water. It's leading us home. It's leading us to the element which composes the cell, and that is water. Spring, regardless of what's taking place in any of our lives, there will be a winter, a fall, a spring, and a summer, particularly if you live in the Midwest. You can look forward to the fact that despite the fact that there may be a harsh winter, there will be a spring. And these particular buds were beginning to sprout in spring. Our lives are cyclic from those harsh times to those warmer times to a spring. And the spring always represents new life. I found this particular flower about 40 feet from my front door. So I'm walking along with my camera, which I carry most of the time. And there was this particular flower, which has a name, I'm not a botanist, so I don't always know the name. But I was really impressed. I had a close-up lens. I got down almost on my knees, and the micro lens to take the sheer beauty of the pedestals, which are on the left-hand side. But on the right-hand side, you see a flower or a bud, which is not yet matured to produce the pedestals which exist on the left. And as you can see, they're very delicate. And I didn't know how delicate they were. I was so amazed. I'd already taken the photo. I was so amazed at how beautiful it was. I wanted to touch it. And the very moment that I touched that particular flower and the pedestals, it folded on itself. It literally died. And I did not realize how much in terms of my own body fluid or acidity that exists on my own skin, that really came home to me to say, this is not to be touched. Yes, this is to be gazed upon. Yes, you are to look at it. I'm here, but I'm not to be touched. I'm here for the enjoyment, your enjoyment, and the enjoyment of and the communications with all those other flora and fauna which is around me. But I'm not for human touch. I was quite impressed by the fact that it is folded and realized the very moment that at that particular moment, just how fragile life is. This is another flower, and once again, the botanist, I don't know its particular name. And it was at the corner of my block. So I'm walking down the street, I shot the first at the shop, which you just saw. And at the corner of my block were these particular types of flowers. And as I got into a close-up with my camera, I was really amazed at how delicate the pedestals were. I was really amazed at just how beautiful the images created by just the sheer beauty. Some were blue. This one happened to be sort of an orange color with a little purple coming out. And I'm not really sure what it is that's coming out of the flower, but I knew it was just beauty personified. It lifted my spirits. I did not touch it, as I had done with the first one, because I realized how delicate it was. I realized how fragile life is. I realized that this was for me to watch, to gaze upon, to renew myself, and to realize that a few moments ago, there had been a wind, and that wind had literally tossed this particular flower left and right, back and forth, so that it's rocking. It could sustain the wind. It would not sustain my touch. And so the elements themselves interplayed with this particular flower, giving it life, giving it that which it needed, and it was fine. But it really didn't need me. It needed me only to accept the fact that it exists, to give it value, to gaze upon it, and give me enough beauty to go on my way. This particular shot, which is another different type of flora, I was really amazed at how the background, to get the forward level and the focus, the back layer are a little bit out of focus. Once again, it's the beauty, it's the covering, it's the wings which fly out on the left and right-hand side that overlaps the seeds which are in the middle. Those seeds, if eventually would fall and they would germinate to create a new flower the next year. So life recreates itself. And as human beings, we recreate ourselves. We recreate that which is most essential. In fact, that which we were born to do, and that is to recreate ourselves. And I was quite taken by it. This is a lily pad. It's also in Crawford Park on the west side of Chicago. I was, as I was walking through the area, there's a lily pond. And these lilies were right on the surface. And there was a tree to the left, which was casting a shadow across the pond. Lilies are very delicate. And when I took the photo, I could also see the root system, which was right beneath the water. So you're looking at the surface on one hand, but you're also looking at the surface. You're looking at the roots, which are underneath the plant itself, which gives its nutrients such that it can sustain itself. This is a park in Chicago. It's called Peterson Park. There are waterfalls, and if you ever go to different parks in Chicago, you will find really not a lot of life, but you'll find different elements of life. This waterfall, which was coming out of the rocks, I thought, wow, this would make a very interesting photo because I had not seen a waterfall in Chicago, but here it was. I set my camera up. It's once again called a long exposure, such that the water itself is feathered. It's landing on top of the surface of the stream, and you could actually hear the rushing of the water that's coming down. There was no other sound around. Literally, there was no sound except for this particular fall. On the right-hand side, you can see the floor, which has rooted itself into the rock system itself. This particular ecosystem functions in continuity. Life itself is continuous. There's a continuity to the way life functions. This is something close up. As you see on the right-hand side, you can see the water waterfall. On the left-hand side, you can see how it sort of bifurcates off. But if the water system itself on the left-hand side feeds the flora and fauna on the left-hand side. I was really struck by the impact of those small streams that gave enough water so that those plants could live in rock. And I don't often think of plants growing either on top of rocks or find themselves within cracks inside of the rocks such that they can flourish. So life can live under the most harsh conditions. We live under perhaps harsh conditions, and yet you can still go forward. And for me, that's exactly what this photo was showing. Despite the harshness of life, we can still find those nutrients, those natural resources necessary so that we can continue to function as full human beings. Fall. Just a shot on in Chicago on Cicero Avenue, where this is called the Little Red Schoolhouse. This fall, it was just before dark, and I really wanted a photo that not only showed fall itself, but I was more interested in the grass area. This is a natural grass that exists only in Illinois. And it's only come back recently. For a long period of time, it's been destroyed. In fact, it was gone about 100 years. Individuals were able to find seeds and replant these particular grass, actually it's called long grass, and indigenous only to Illinois. It was flourishing, and I really wanted to show the sunlight that was bouncing off the sides of the grass stems as they were bending, as light was going down. But in the background, I wanted to also show the fall. So you get fall both in the front and this particular type of grass, and in the back, you get the forest area. Once again, all in continuity. Every place has its space, every space has its properties, and together it created this one uniform photo. This particular area, which is also in Chicago, it's in the same place where I was on Cicero. It's fun. And I really wanted to show the beauty of the earth on which we live, we dwell in. I really want to show the arching tree, as you can see, it has no any type of leaves on it at all, because when it's fall, this is one of the trees that loses its leaves very early on in the onset of fall, And yet on the left-hand side, you see fall. What you also see on the right-hand side is the fact that the left-hand side gets less sunlight than the right-hand side. And how do we know that? Because the sap, as fall begins it's to impact the ecosystem, it begins to move the sap away from certain parts of the leaves, which is why they begin to change colors. On the right-hand side, it receives far more sunlight, and yet this is the same stream. So on the right-hand side, it doesn't appear to be fall at all, or the beginning of fall. So you still see lots of the lush green. You do see near the area where the leaves are at, you see the leaves. But on the left-hand side, you see more of the fall area. So you get a bifurcation. You also get that yin and yang existing in the same space at the same time, a fall and still a late spring. I took this at night. This is supposed to Fort Sheridan. I just wanted to show the beauty of the leaves as the sun was going down. So you see the fact that most of the leaves, most of the trees are denuded. The leaves are going away, but they're just enough such that when I took the photo, the husk brown color is illuminated. Once again, as we have winter, we have we have spring, we have winter. And this is the same tree. This is in Washington Park, and there's a small lake there. This tree has fallen over as a result of either old age, the wind has blown down. But I really did like looking at the water, how you had this feathering of the water. You have the limbs, and for me, the limbs are speaking to me. And they're saying, yes, but we shall return. Just for the moment, we have become dormant. Just for the moment, we have gone to sleep. Winter, same lake. I usually go back to the same spot a couple of times. This is just an early snowfall, and you have the snow on top of the trees that sort of gives it a slight coat. You have the bouncing lights, which you see from on the right-hand side. It gave an element and mood of not only that it was winter, but the lake hadn't frozen yet. I'm sorry, the river hadn't frozen yet. And it was continuing to move and continuing to do what it naturally does, and that is to feed the plant system. This is winter. That waterfall that you saw, there was actually a small lake in which fed, and that particular waterfall fed into, frozen, and yet the floor system, which without question was no more alive, gives so much texture to the shadows, which are right on the front. The whole area that is white, that's like, and it's frozen for the snow. This particular shot was taken not too far from where the museum is at, not that far from Lakeshore Drive. And I want to show just the beauty of white space, which is at the top, and also the blending of the snow on the trees, and also in the foreground, the snow itself, so that they blend in as one. So you get this white space, which highlights the snow, and the snow on the bottom, which then sort of parry the white space. But you can see a thin line near the bottom that shows the bifurcation. So it shows that it shows where the snow stops and where the sky starts. The sky. Very often we don't look up to see how beautiful the clouds are. Clouds are amazing. They change colors throughout the day. They change colors throughout the season. There's actually a winter sky, there's a spring sky, there's a summer sky. And I shot this particular photo between the end of spring and beginning of fall. Just another photo I shot it out of focus. And I shot it out of focus primarily because I really wanted to look at the colors. I didn't want it that sharp. I wanted it to be soft, but what I was also impressed at was just the sheer colors, which are produced as the sun is going down. So the sun in this particular photo is going down, and so you get that sort of pinkish color to the left. You get it down a little bit as you're going down, and you see that, but you also see the blue. Once again, the sky is absolutely beautiful illumination that if we look up, if we take any moment to look up to see how beautiful it is, it functions as a healing element that allows us to realize that there's something much, much larger than ourselves. This was just a heavy tide coming in. I have another photo, although I didn't bring it with me, that showed the individual drops from this particular water as it's coming in. It's crashing against a rock, which is on the right and also on the left. So it's crashing as it's coming in. And I thought, wow, this is the beauty and also the power of that element of water, that once it breaks, you get the white colors which are coming in. So if you look a little bit beyond it, there's one color, but once it presses and it breaks, there's a completely different color. So this changing nature of color, for me, was a changing nature of life from young child to middle. Eventually, when it came in, it was still heavy and crashed upon the shores. I, once again, about really early in the morning, taking another sunrise, shooting the lake. What I really wanted was not only the sun coming up, but as I waited, and if you can look at the right-hand side, you'll see just a small, you see the white wave coming in. You see just a small sliver of light that goes across the top of the wave. And that's what I wanted. I really waited for about an hour to make sure to get that. So that's a long wait, just waiting. But I wanted to show how beautiful that sunrise was and how once that light hits the crest of the water, it's a reflection of a day's sun.
So where is it?
Where's that at? Yeah. Right down the street. Belmont Harbor. Right around Belmont Harbor. Right from Belmont. I think it's my last lesson. It's before morning. Before morning, if we can get out, then, well, let me explain the photo. Before we can get out, once we get out, and we can get out to elements, and we can take in the beauty of the sun, we can take in the beauty of the elements, watching the sun as it rises over the lake. To the right-hand side, the sun is just crescent, which you can see on the right-hand side between the clouds. It's just slowly making a sheen on the top of the waves. You can see the orange, which blankets the left-hand side because it's been sheltered a little bit by the clouds. You can see the grass. I got down lower so that I can have some of the elements of the grass, which would come up to give it more texture. And there's an individual there just admiring the beauty. There's no sound whatsoever, with the exception of just a little bit of the waves, and then as I move back, there's completely no sound. The holistic, all the elements which make up life, all the elements which gives us healing, all the elements that says you are a person, but more than that, that the infirmament, the earth itself, there's not something much larger than yourself. There's something much larger than all the problems that one will have within their life. There's something larger, and if you can look at the earth as that place of salvation, as something that's going to always be there no matter what. One thing is very true about nature: it does not lie to us. It does not hurt us in the sense that it's intentional. It is something that always tells its truth. And that truth is, I am always here and I will always be here. Yes, I do change, and without question, whether it does change because of patterns. But in terms of expectations, I will never leave you. Human beings leave us. Words are spoken which are hurtful. Things are done which hurt us. Ailments hurt us. Many things hurt us. The earth itself does not hurt us intentionally. It feeds us, and it feeds us every single day. Therefore, it gives a light show to us every single day that says, I am here. And if you can take in the beauty of who I am, you too shall be part of that beauty. The last one is before dusk. I shot this outside of the HAMOC. So I came outside of Kmart. I'm looking, I see the sun going down. The one that you saw before was the sun coming up. This is the sun coming down, going down, and it's before dusk. And it's just right on Peterson. So Peterson Western. And so I was just coming out and I had my camera with me. I saw the sun going down, pulled out my camera, took the shot, boom, boom, it's dark within a few seconds. It's completely black. But I wanted to shoot that sunrise because to me, it mirrored the sunrise. Okay. And that is in the presentation. Once again, life itself, sunrise to sunset, fall to winter, spring to summer, that healing power of life, of water, of wind, of rain, snow, allows us to rejuvenate ourselves. And once again, to take in something larger than ourselves that says, you are part of the earth. And that earth, the water which composes your body, is the same water that you will look at during the course of a day. I am you, and you are myself. You know me? Thank you very much for the presentation. Thank you for doing that. Okay. Sure.
So today, November 18th, here is the National Holiday. So we're celebrating the battle with the tear here. And I want to relate the presentation to the very day. And so I see a lot of the images that respond to this national holiday. Which was a holiday that was the last battle that occurred against the French, so that the Haitians would have the freedom and to have the humanity come back rather than against their own freedom. So some of the images that I see that reflects that particular day that we celebrated the Day of Nations are the waves and the waterfalls. Where you mentioned how the waves are hard waves, and it represents life itself in very harsh conditions. So basically, the waterfalls showing the plants living along that conditions. And so, whereas the nations are going through a harsh moment and have found very harsh moments turning into a great. The other event that I saw was the path.
Is that a reflection or a question? Okay.
So,
because I was going to respond to it.
All right. You kind of make a reflection of it.
Yeah, I know I was going to respond to the reflection.
The other images are the path that we have. And I think if we begin as a healing presentation, that even that it shows us that there could be a clear path for the patients going into this hardship right now, despite all of the negativity that are going on. I think that was a soothing kind of image to kind of say, give some optimism to the harsh moment they go into natural healing side. And then the third one that touched me a bit was the spring, the new life. The image that showed the beautiful flowers and that the Haitian people are looking forward to a new life. And hopefully it comes in the future. And lastly, my image that kind of closed it in was the sky, where it says sky as a healing element. And so when we mentioned that in that image, it kind of reminded me why the Christian religion or some of the religion thinks was kind of godless, right? God is somewhere in the sky. God will make the things change. God will make the things. So when you mention the sky with the image, kind of saying, yeah, maybe they should look at the sky to find some healing to make sure that maybe comes out of what the condition they're in right now. So this is my reflection from listening to you very attentively. I took a lot of attention and it.
Well,
so
thank you.
Thank you so much because it gives me a lot of hope from the presentation.
Thank you. Yeah, the presentation without question is designed to give hope, and I agree with you wholeheartedly. Regardless of how harsh a situation is, we'll take, for example, today, in terms of liberation. Liberation, or as what would take place in African American history, the day of Jubilee, it is that day that people honor the fact that they are free people. And freedom in and of itself is symbolic of a new day, a new path. How do we rewrite not the old history? What is ahead of us? How do we write the new path? We don't know exactly what will happen, but we know that a path has been blazed for us such that we can create a new future. Same with Haiti, and this particular battle and the ongoing situation now. A path will, if it has not shown itself, will show itself. And that path will ask, where do you want to go? What do you want? But either way, I have blazed a path for you. Please follow. And so I think that in terms of the situation which is going on in Haiti, the fact that there's something much larger than the conflict itself, what looms behind it is peace. What looms behind it is the healing that will take place once the bullets and the weapons have been silenced. Once the dislike, the hatred, all those things. There is an old proverb about a Potawatomi that says, if you have troubles, speak to the ocean, or to the lake, because it never tells the harshness of your life. It cleanses you. So if you're having difficulty in your life, if you've had a bad day, if you've had relationships, it doesn't matter, you've been in war, by speaking to the lake or speaking to the body of water, it takes it and it moves it out. So you have the waves which come in and you would speak your peace or the difficulties which were happening in your life. As it recedes, it takes all of those problems away, such that you renew yourself every time the waves come. Every time the waves come in, you're dealing with some issues, but once it goes away, it tells no one. So you are safe, your secrets are safe. The conflicts which have taken place will go away. The blood shed in order to have your dead jubilee or to renew yourself, that perhaps a loved one has been lost. All of that hurt can be taken away by speaking to the water, as Palmer would say, that takes it away. So yes, it is a renewal process that life gives us every day, 365 days out of the year, to be a free people and also a healthy people. Not just free, but to be healthy and to heal oneself at the end of that or conflict.
Well, thank you, Dr. Knight. I appreciate your time and sharing again your images. I remember correctly, you're exhibiting some work right now.
Yes.
Where can people find your work at?
At the Cultural Center,
Okay.
in the Renaissance Room
Nice.
and downtown Chicago.
Fabulous. So definitely make sure to check that out next time you all are downtown. I appreciate everyone being here today as well. Quick announcement, if you haven't heard, which I don't know how you wouldn't, but we are having our upcoming fundraiser, our yearly fundraiser, Lavelle 2023, which will be happening on Saturday, December 2nd. It's a two-part event this year. So in the morning, we'll have a conference where we'll be featuring 3 Haitian scholars to talk about voodoo and its relationship to different parts of culture. And then in the evening, we'll be having a reception with our keynote artist and performance artist, actually, Stephen Babu, who will be doing a performance here in this space. So we have that going on, as well as the coffee that you all enjoyed this morning is Haitian coffee. We do sell it here at the museum. We just got a restock of our ground and bean coffee, as well as we are selling J cups. They're K cups for your Keurig, but J cups because it's just Haiti coffee. So check that out over there. Some of you are museum members, so you do get a 10% discount on that. If you're not a member, it's definitely a great time to take a look at that. It's a great gift, Christmas gift, holiday gift for folks, because that's coming up as well. Thank you all again for coming. Thank you, Dr. Knight. I appreciate it. There's coffee and donuts still in the front, and I hope to see you at another program here at the museum soon. Awesome. Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much.